returning to that story, after Mozart found that he had been stiffed by the Duke de Guignes, things continued to spiral downwards precipitously, getting worse and worse there in Paris. You will recall that his mother was on the trip, but she was a provincial woman. She found Paris to be intimidating. And while he was out hustling for work, writing flute and harp concertos, teaching the daughters of dukes, she just sat quietly in the semi-light of the room that they had rented there in Paris. And in mid-June of 1778, she became sick. It is speculated that she contracted typhus. A few weeks later, on July the 2nd, 1778, she died in her son's arms. This is a plaque that's on the building where she died, to Rue du Sentier. And of course, this was the worst moment in Mozart's life. This was really, I think, a turning point in his life. One of the reasons why this piece we're going to hear is qualitatively different from the one we just heard. That was incandescent and brilliant. This one, as I said, it has moments of great darkness as well as moments of tremendous joy. There's a technicolor aspect to the music making. To give you a sense of what happened from his own perspective, he tried to be tactful. He wrote to his father back in Salzburg. He prepared him. He didn't tell him, mother has died. He said she's very sick, to let him adjust to this idea. But on the night that she died, he had to purge himself of his emotions, and he wrote a letter to a friend of his back in Salzburg. I'll read you a bit of it. Mourn with me, my friend. This is the saddest day of my life. I am writing to you at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I must tell you that my mother, my dear mother, is no more. God has called her to himself. It was his will to take her. I can see it clearly. Therefore, I have resigned myself to God's will. He gave her to me. He could also take her from me. Just imagine all the turmoil, the anxiety, and the worries that I endured over the last 2 weeks. She died without regaining consciousness. She went out like a light. So eventually he revealed to his father what had happened, and his father was not at all pleased. And he said, all right, you're done there in Paris. Come home to Salzburg. I'll see if I can get you a job with the Archbishop again. This was not appealing to Mozart. He wrote, I'm going to go to Munich because I heard that's where Aloysia has moved. He's still in love with Aloysia. His father was appalled by this idea, and he wrote him a scathing letter. He said, my very dear son, I really don't know what to say anymore. I will either lose my mind or die of exhaustion. Your whole intent is to ruin me so you can build your castles in the air. I hope that after your mother had to die in Paris already, you will not also burden your conscience by expediting the death of your father. He was a piece of work. So Mozart did go to Munich, and he looked up Aloysia, and he brought with him an aria that he had written for her, which I think he expected would be taken as an engagement present, but she said, forget it, I'm not interested anymore, thank you very much. But she just dumped him. And he wrote to his father again and said, today I can do nothing but weep. So he went back to Salzburg. He took a job as the court organist working for the Archbishop, who he couldn't stand and who couldn't stand him. And it was a huge disappointment the way that this whole year had turned out. But sometime in the next few months, sometime over the summer, we don't know exactly when because he wasn't writing letters to anybody anymore back home, he wrote this piece we're about to hear. And as I intimated in the first half, it is the first really great piece of music that he wrote. It is just deep. It shows the influence of everything that he learned along the way in Mannheim from that great court orchestra, and also the impact that these tremendous disappointments and tragedies that he had endured had on his musical substance. Particularly, you will notice it in the second movement of this piece, which is in the unusual key of C minor for a Mozartian second movement. Many people think it is his elegy, his eulogy for his mother. It also contains moments of tremendous joy, and I think, if you don't know the piece, it has been one of my desert island pieces for over 50 years, and it is such a pleasure to get to perform it with these people and with Oliver and Paul now. So enjoy this piece.